Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I literally do college football videos every single day. So it's time to talk about the subject that's literally cost me years of my life. It has shaved years off my life. I'm talking about West Virginia football. So far this year, West Virginia is 2-4 and 0-3 in the Big 12. Dead last. They started off the season by losing at Maryland 30-24, all because of 4 freaking turnovers. Then they get the cupcake game against LIU. Of course, they blow them out 66-0. Then they get rival Virginia Tech, who was ranked number 15 at the time, beat them in Morgantown 27-21. But it came down to a 4th and goal. After that, West Virginia went on the road and hung in there with number 4 Oklahoma, losing on a last-second field goal 16-13. After that's when everything fell apart. They come back home to Morgantown, lose to the team who was probably the second worst Big 12 team at the time, Texas Tech, 23-20 in Morgantown on another last-second field goal. And then last week, we go back on the road to Baylor, and we don't even show up. We get blown out of the building 45-20. Here's our remaining schedule. Right now, we're on a much-needed bye week. After that, we're back on the road at TCU. Then we get Iowa State at home. Then we get number 12 Oklahoma State at home. Then at Kansas State. And number 25 Texas at home. Then at Kansas. So what exactly has gone wrong in Morgantown? It's really one word. Offense. We averaged 28.3 points per game. That's 72nd. Now on defense, we're allowing 22.5 points per game, which is 47th. But we were expecting a slight step back in defense. We're okay with that. The defense has held their own. Really, last week against Baylor was their only truly bad game. Quarterback Jarrett Deggy, 118 for 181. That's 65.2%. He's thrown for 1,444 yards, 8 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions. Running back Neal Brown, not having a great season so far. 95 carries for 422 yards. That's only 4.4 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns. Jarrett Deggy's QBR is 58.3. That's 8th in the Big 12. Passing yards, 1,444, is 1st in the Big 12. So he's actually thrown for the most yardage in the Big 12. What's the problem? Well, the problem is he's been sacked 14 times. That's 1st in the Big 12. Second behind him is Spencer Rattler, who's been sacked 10 times. He was benched last week. And here's one thing that's really getting on my nerves. West Virginia fans saying we need to get rid of Neal Brown. That's crazy talk. If we fire Neal Brown right now, that's going to set us back another 5 years. No, we need to get through this season and then see what next season looks like. We're bringing in the best recruiting class in the history of West Virginia. We don't need that to fall apart. So what can we do this year? Well, the first thing is we do need an offensive coordinator. I don't know who's available or what we can do about that. We might have to solve that issue in the offseason, but we definitely need an offensive coordinator. I love Neal Brown. He's a great coach, but he's not the greatest at calling plays. We need an offensive coordinator. But the biggest problem is our offensive line. And that's why Garrett Green needs to start. Not because he's a better quarterback than Jarrett Deggy, but because he has actual legs. And with as bad of an offensive line as West Virginia has, we need a mobile quarterback. Somebody that can make something out of nothing. I mean, we see broken plays all the time. We see Jarrett Deggy getting sacked all the time. We need somebody who can get out of those situations, even if he's not as good as passing as Jarrett Deggy. That's fine. We need somebody that can buy time and gain yards on broken plays, because right now the offensive line is creating broken plays. So the real reason to start Garrett Green over Jarrett Deggy isn't because he's the better quarterback. It's just because he's a mobile quarterback. We got to stop taking those sacks. Apparently Jarrett Deggy doesn't know how to step up in the pocket. He steps side to side and steps right into the sack. So I'm not trash talking Neal Brown and I'm not trash talking Jarrett Deggy. However, our offensive line is extremely young. One of the youngest in the nation. They're very talented, just inexperienced. That's why this bye week came at a perfect time. I think Neal Brown is going to formulate a plan that's going to include Garrett Green more. He might not start this next game at TCU, but he will be involved more. I see us shifting into more of an RPO type of situation. And then maybe if he sees our offensive line protecting more, then Jarrett Deggy can go back out on the field. We're all guilty of this, even myself. Knee-jerk reactions after a bad loss. I do it. We all do it. That's what passionate fans do. But that's why I tell y'all during those knee-jerk reactions, hey, give me a day or so. That way I can calm down and get my emotions out of this. Now is not the time to pull the plug on Neal Brown. And one other thing, I think the success, the step forward that we took last year kind of set us up for failure this year. We all expected West Virginia to take another step forward this year, including myself. We just don't have the talent for that. I think we overachieved last year, which made us think, wow, we could go for 8-4, 9-3, maybe 10-2 this year. In reality, we don't have the talent for that yet. So it was a product of our own circumstances. circumstances, overachieving last year, setting our expectations much higher than what they should have been this year. Now next year, we're going to have one of our greatest recruiting classes ever. That's when we need to see a big step forward. And that's why I'm saying we don't need to fire Neal Brown. We need to get through this season. Maybe we can get to a bowl and then see what next year looks like. We're going to need patience, guys. Dana Holgorsen left West Virginia in a wasteland of talent. There was hardly any talent coming back. And he knew it. That's why he was asking for a raise. And he knew he had an offer from Houston. West Virginia said, we're done with that. You're not getting a raise. So just have a little bit more patience. I know that's tough, especially this year. We're not looking good. We just need to get through this year and then see what next year looks like. I'm still convinced that Neal Brown is the coach for West Virginia. We just have a terrible offensive line, and we overachieved last year, setting our expectations unreasonably high this year. So take a deep breath and relax. We'll get through this year and then see what next year looks like. Hey, if you don't want to trust me or the climb, that's fine. Trust Bob Huggins. Trust Gordon Gee. Trust Shane Lyons. They're all saying the same thing. Neal Brown is the head coach for West Virginia. We just have some things to work on and a great recruiting class coming next year. Keep your heads up. Let's go Mountaineers. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.